Hello, I'm your host, Leonard Duncan. Welcome to a new episode of ATV-TALK and Motorsports Podcast. Please join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We bring you interviews with industry professionals, live events, live news about the motorsports industry in every episode. Enjoy the show. Whether we are out riding with our friends and family or racing in extreme environments, we all need good tires. That's why I recommend GNCC Power Sports Tires, a division of Greenball Corp. Their products, which include XC Master, Mini Master, and Groundbuster 3, are what leading professionals in the ATV-UTV industry are using. You can get your tires at greenballtires.com or find them on Instagram as GBC Tires for further inquiries. Are you looking for the best suspension technology for your sport ATV? Look no further than Elka Suspension, the industry leader in sport ATV suspension technology. With championship wins in prestigious events such as the Dakar Rally, SCORE, Best in the Desert, ATV MX, Cross Country, and Works, Elka Suspension has established itself as the go-to choice for athletes and enthusiasts alike. But they don't just stop at ATVs. They're constantly expanding into new markets, including UTVs, trucks, SUVs, pit bikes, snowmobiles, and more. Their commitment to innovation and quality means they're always looking to improve and adapt so you can enjoy a smooth ride wherever you go. Want to learn more about what Elka Suspension can do for you? Visit their website at elkasuspension.com or give them a call at 450-655-4855. They will always be happy to answer your questions and help you find the perfect suspension solution for your needs. Adam McGill.
Can you hear me?
Brother? I can hear you.
Oh shit! I got kicked out of the living room. Now I'm in the office because wife's watching Real Housewives of something today.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, thanks so much for joining. This has been a long time coming, brother.
No shit, right? Cheers to that.
Hey, you know, not everybody knows that on Christmas Day you reached out to me while you were driving to Florida, and in the description of the episode, I tell everybody you're my Christmas present.
Well, Merry Christmas, you old son of a bitch.
Well, thank you so much. So what have you got going on? And you know what? I want to rephrase that. You were at a show.
Yep.
And you're there for Parts Unlimited and Moose?
So I was there. So Parts Unlimited is like the big umbrella, which is Le Mans. And then under that are their house brands. One of the house brands is Moose Racing. So I was a part of the Parts Unlimited show, which is MVP. And I forget the actual code of what it stands for. But it was the MVP show, and it was in Louisville. So they do one in Louisville. They do one in Madison, which this year it's actually in Milwaukee because they outgrew Madison. So that one will be in the summer. And then I don't know if they do a fall one or not, but they wanted me to come to Louisville. So I flew home from Florida, got in the truck, drove through a snowstorm, went to Louisville, got the bike into the show, and then hauled ass to a distillery down there because we're in bourbon country, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah.
How do those shows go for you? Do you get other companies coming and talking to you, or are you getting spectators and fans coming out to see you?
So I was there, and the show's a little bit different. So Fred Fox, which was the starter of Parts Unlimited, right? He's very dealer oriented. He is very brick and mortar, very take care of the dealers, things like that. So it's only open to the dealers, which is a good thing, but it's a bad thing all at the same time. So everybody I've seen had a dealership or dealer credentials to be there. So I was there essentially to bring people into the booth to display Moose Racing products, Mud Utility Division products, snow plows, things like that. And we was doing a thing where if you came to the booth, you could sign your name and a phone number and put it in a jar, and that enabled you to win one of my free jerseys or one of my signed jerseys. So I was there all day Saturday, and then obviously lack of sleep, meet and greet, some adult beverages, led to 2:30 in the morning or 3 o'clock, got back up for the show at 8 and was there by 9 and was there till 3 o'clock on Sunday, which is when we did the drawing. And you didn't have to be there to win, but the people that was there were definitely anticipating the jersey. But the people that won it, they were actually getting on a plane heading back to PA. So we contacted them and mailed the jersey out. I think we mailed it today.
That's so cool.
Yep. It's a lot of fun, man. I really enjoy it. It's nice. It's different because, like, so, you know, you meet all the people, right? Especially like going to the races. So you meet all the racing families and racing companies. And now I'm meeting the dealers that now stock the product, support the product that I support. So it was nice to be able to shake hands with people that buy product that I'm able to, you know, race for and promote that allow me to do what I do. So it's really cool.
That is. And they get to put a face with now the guy that's in the advertisement for the product as well.
Oh, for sure. And there was definitely no lack of Honda support. I took pictures. There was people with hats. I got pictures with people with tattoos, Honda tattoos, hoodies. I mean, I loved it. I would be like, you know, Le Mans fed us, or Parts Unlimited fed us very well the whole time. So I can't thank them guys enough for allowing me to come out. They fed us very well. So we had like breakfast, we had snacks, we had lunch, we had snacks, we had dinner, we had snacks. So it was like all day. It was like, you know, I'm sitting at the booth and then I would leave and I would like say walk over to get something to eat. And I would just run into somebody, and that would lead into me talking to a guy at, say, the Klotz lubricants booth. And then that would then lead me into meeting some old friends that now work for another company that used to work for the company now that I'm supported by. So it was really nice catching up with a lot of people I haven't seen over the years. And being doing this 20 years, it's funny how people in the industry, they kind of go in a circle, you know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very few of us stay at the same company the whole time.
Oh, very few. I mean, Larry Mills is one of the guys that's been there forever at DP Brakes. He was one of my very first sponsors. I don't know if he was my first, but he was one of my very first. And man, he's a Tito's guy all day long. I'm a bourbon guy. So it's like when we see each other, it's always like we know what each other like. And it's just, man, we hit it off every time we see each other. But he's been there, God, since I started back in 2004.
How did, you know, when we were talking on the podcast, you got into cross country. Did you start at the bottom or did you come in closer to the top?
So I started racing. Don't hate me for this. I started racing. What's up, Raji? I started racing in 2002. My dad took my first race. So my dad raced to like wind this all back. My dad started, which I have a picture of him upstairs. My dad started in 86, I think. He bought one of the first 250s that came into RG Honda, which was my first employer. How funny is that? And I still get parts and bikes from that business. So it's you know, long relationship. So fast forward it to the early 90s. He got out of that. He had my youngest sister. So I'm a middle child. He got out of that and got into car racing. So from 93 to 2000, we was racing dirt cars. And he asked me in 2001 if I wanted to race a dirt track car. And I said no. So immediately he goes into, Jesus Christ, why don't you want to do that? Blah, 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 blah. You know, you got the whole thing here. And I said, I just don't want to. He said, well, we got to do something. Nathan, I don't think dirt track cars are the best. But he didn't really know much about quad racing. And one of my best friends to this day, Mick Easter, pushed me into going to the ATV racing, and we've been hooked ever since. And I started in 2002. I lied about my age. I was 16 for 3 years. And I mean, we didn't have youth racing growing up. When I started racing, there was no youth. It was nothing. It's like they had that long gap of nothing. So when I started, I had to lie about my age for two years. And when I turned 16, then I could actually be truthful. And so the day I turned 16 on let me think, on a Thursday or a Wednesday, and went to John Penton on a Saturday, I signed up for Open A, which is, I don't know what you consider it now, but an A class. I was leading the A class in the top 20 overall and broke a chain. So my national experience was A class and then up.
Are you ready for your next vacation adventure? Step into the heart of Arizona's natural splendor with a tour of Antelope Slot Canyon. Ideal for photography enthusiasts and nature lovers, our tours offer a unique journey through a landscape sculpted over millions of years. Let our expert guides lead you through the swirling sandstone. We're going to have to do it. Let our expert guides lead you through the swirling sandstone formations where every turn reveals stunning light displays, geological marvels. Secure your spot now at Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and prepare to be awed by the canyon's mystical beauty. For details, please visit us at antelopeslotcanyon.com.
That's pretty freaking incredible that you went that fast through the chain right into pro.
Yeah, so I started C class for Paul Kuntz way back in the day, and Paul still, I still see him and we speak every now and then. So Paul Kuntz was my first series I followed. So I raced that year. I think I did 5 or 6 races or something. I was still, no hand guards, road sign belly skid plates. Didn't know anything about tires. Didn't know anything about setup. DG full pipe with the megaphone, loud as shit system, right? And had no idea. But I remember I won a race that year. We bought a set of work shocks off a guy that had a 250R that had no shock bushings. So we used the linkage, the leaf spring bushings out of an old Ford pickup we had and trimmed them all down to fit and shit and got them in and won the last race of the year in C class. And then my dad asked me, he goes, all right. He says, son, if you want to do this, we ain't messing around with this shit no more. We're going to run pro. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, we're running pro. We ain't messing around with this shit. So we bought a Sparks 416 kit for my 430X at the time. I got a set of DWT Ultimate front wheels, which were badass, right, by the way. And I got a set of remote resi work shocks, not the piggyback, remote. Still no adjustments, still no nothing, but they were remote, or the hose ones.
Yep.
And I went and raced pro class at Paul Kuntz that year, 15 years old, and just got my teeth kicked in, man. I mean, just got my ass kicked all year long. And my good friend Mick that got me into this, we was doing a race, which is just right down the road from me where I live now. It's called Goose Creek. And we went there, and he, I'm always talking. I'm not real mouthy anywhere, but I was talking shit, kick your ass today, Mick, blah, blah, blah. And I essentially got lapped. I said it a hill climb. I wasn't real sure. I mean, I was still figuring this shit out. And when I got lapped, I said, you know what? I'm going to keep up with him because I could ride with him at the house when we rode. And I kept up with him the whole lap, figured out how to pass people, and end up winning that race. Or I didn't get lapped, but I forget what it was. But I ended up winning that race the last year. And that really is what kind of like it clicked. And I know I've worked with a lot of kids and maybe they're not watching this, but when it clicks, I'm telling you, it clicks. I can't explain it any more than it goes like this and you figure it out. That's where it just did it.
It's almost like you became aware.
Yeah. Like I started passing, I started looking at lines, I started looking through ride. It really just, I mean, it clicked. I don't know how to explain. I'm sorry. If I knew how to do that, I would have it here. I'd charge you a fee and I'd be like, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand exactly what you're talking about, because you can do it for a long time and not see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you finally see it, man, you're on.
Yeah, and it was like that multiple years. I mean, just like I said, just getting my teeth kicked in, following people, not knowing where to go. And when it did, it worked. And the next year, I ran, obviously, Paul Kuntz again. And that's when I was old enough that next year to go to the GNCC. And that's when I started. And the Open A class, I broke down at Penton. I made one lap, broke down. I got second at a race, I think. That year they run Virginia too at the Speedway, and that one I think I got fifth, and then I won Sparta, Kentucky down by the racetrack. My very first year in A class, I ended up winning the A class race and got 16th overall.
That's pretty impressive.
And we ran, I'll never forget, we ran 77 miles, an 11-mile course. We ran 7 laps, and I never fueled.
How did you work that?
I had a 5.5-gallon Clark tank. It got rid of all the side panels and shit. I mean, it was the monstrosity of a tank. And my dad goes, if we're going to buy a big tank, you ain't getting one of them small ones. You're going to get the biggest one I can get. Well, we had that. And it was one heavy, cumbersome, non-fitting. It was terrible. I'm an IMS guy at heart, but I didn't know any better.
Right.
I wanted the cowboy hat, the big cowboy hat. It looked cool. You could tell. This one you couldn't. It just took the place of all the shrouding and plastic. You had to cut. It was a pain in the ass, man.
But you didn't run. You didn't have to stop for fuel.
Nope, didn't stop for fuel at all. I mean, that still, I think, that and a Unadilla one year we ran 7 laps, I think. But for the most part, like 6 is very rare nowadays.
Wow, that is incredible stuff. When did you switch to the 450?
Oh, boy. I had a real short stint on a Predator there. A real short stint. So I had a 400 for years. I actually wanted a 250R, but my dad told me they were too fast and I couldn't have one. So I had a 400.
I gotta ask: are you still in therapy from that time on the Predator, or have you got that out of your system?
I got a story about that thing. It's good. But so I had a 400. I ended up splitting the shift drum out of it in South Carolina that year. And it was just like I was in Pro-Am that year, and it was James Wall, Jathan Seal, Jeremy Rice, Chris Jenks. I mean, there were 4 stacked guys in that class, and I knew I wasn't going to beat them, but it was always a goal of mine to push, right? So long story short, I break the shift drum, blow the cases apart. It's junk. The motor's shit. So we throw it in the corner, and we're trying to figure out what to do before the next race. So that's when my dad's like, oh, let's buy a Predator. So I can't say enough about it. It was good in its element, but it never fit me, right? So
Does it have an element?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes. Yep. Trust me, it's better than another machine I'd rather ride.
Okay.
I promise you that. So
okay.
I had a short stint with that, and then we got my first 450 soon after that. And after we got that, so the 04, 05 Honda came out. It was kickstart only. And he brought it home, and I had a hell of a time kickstarting my buddy's 2-strokes. So let's bring home a 4-stroke that's even worse. I kicked and I kicked and I kicked my ass off. And he says, you know what? You ain't riding it till you can start it. And I'm like, and I spent, I don't know, probably 4 hours out there kicking it and kicking it and kicking it and kicking it. And I get it running. And I take it back on the hill and I'd stall it. I'd be like, you got to be shitting me. And so I'd purposely find downhills and bump start it so I wouldn't have to figure out how to kick it. And it took me a long time to figure out the sequence to it, pulling the decompressor, rolling the kicker over twice, pumping the throttle 5 times, hitting the headlight switch on and off, like doing the whole sequence. And if you did all that, it would just fire immediately. But if you didn't, it was a finicky bike. But
nice.
Yeah, I got on it in 03, end of 03 maybe, and then had one bike through my whole Pro-Am championship, like that whole run, the whole season of 04. Like, we didn't do shit. We didn't know, right? We just rode the bike. I mean, I didn't have a big tank until like a year and a half later, because I was like, the 3.2 gallon tank. Who needs a big tank? Who wants a cam that's already fast enough? Who wants this, right?
Right.
We had no idea. And like taking shit off the 400X and putting on it that, I mean, it fit, but it didn't work. But yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, did you have a great time?
Oh, hell yeah. I had a lot of fun. And my dad always gives me shit. He's like, Jesus Christ, you used to always get on that bike and just ride it, didn't care how it was, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I wasn't married. I didn't have a house. I didn't have responsibilities either. Yeah, I didn't really give a shit about the bike. I just rode it. But now it's like, yeah, I kind of care if the tie rods are loose. Just a little bit. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, I started with the 450, like about as soon as it came out, we had one. But like I said, we did a Predator there at a short stint, and yeah, I see people commenting below, and they're giving me shit about growing up. I mean, they get it.
Right.
They just, yeah.
Well, you haven't grown up yet because you still race ATVs and still work on ATVs.
Stop it. I get 1099. I do my taxes. I'm grown up as hell.
Dude, hey, I got you by a number of years, and I still work on ATVs and play with ATVs. I haven't grown up yet.
Dude, I love it. I don't know if I could stop it. I don't know if I could like when people talk about retiring, I don't know if I could just be, just flip the page and be done with it. I don't think I could. I think I've done it so long and lived it so long. Ever since I was, 6 years old, I've had an ATV or a Dirt Wheels magazine that I've read, on the porch growing up. And I don't think I could ever get out of quad riding ever.
So you have kids, right?
I got 2 dogs.
You got 2 dogs?
Yeah, no kids.
Okay. Well, that changes things a little bit, right?
It does. And I mean, I'm at the age, I'm 36 right now, and things are different. I wouldn't say that my focus has changed. I still love what I do. I still love supporting brands. I still enjoy everything about racing. The traveling gets to me. The traveling sucks ass. That's the only thing to it, is when I got to get in that truck and I got to drive 9 or 10 hours and leave home, and I know I'm gone for the weekend, it's rough. That's what's wearing on me. Not the training, not the riding, not the racing, not doing all the local events, not doing my schooling, not doing any of the mountain bike, none of that. I love it. It's the traveling that's really wearing on me as I get older.
Wow. Well, you said you're 36. So Eichner retired when he was almost 50.
God, that poor thing.
You still got some time to go.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess West Coast people are bred different. Maybe I can go out west and start doing desert and work stuff like he did.
There you go.
Yeah, you don't have to be super. I mean, there's no trees to hit, so you don't have to be super sharp, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to go a little faster than you go in the woods.
Yeah, I couldn't remember when Eichner retired. I couldn't remember exactly when he stepped out. I knew he was older because that was when, Fredericks and Shell was all running that stuff out in the works?
Right after, I think Shell had stepped away and Doug did the Polaris deal, and 7, 9, I think he was gone in 10.
God, I remember the one-piece PC hoods he had on that thing, the silver ones. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, the big silver PC hood that covered the lights and shit.
The first ones, you know?
Yep, and the GPR on top that raised the bars like 9 inches or something.
They raised them a bit. And Doug's just a little bitty guy.
Yeah, and the bike was definitely on the lighter side. We all know that.
You know, it could stop an aircraft carrier if you dropped it off the side.
I agree. Fun. And I do have plenty of stories on that back when all that shit happened, but whatever.
Yeah, I like the opportunity to create and design, you know, and try to make things better.
Yeah.
I don't think that, you know, that engine was just not ever going to be.
Air filter it had?
Yeah.
Remember that little tiny air filter? It's like we've got this huge motor, this big piston, this huge cylinder, and we're going to give it an air filter about that big.
Yeah,
I remember that was a huge issue.
And the intake, the isolator would crack and split in half.
Yep. So we had issues with that with KTMs. The carburetor to the head would crack. It would get brittle, and I don't know if it was the plastic they used or not, but we actually had a boot from another model, and I won't say what it was. That
I did the same thing.
That we put on it, obviously cut the tabs for the carburetor to turn it how it needed to be turned, put it on, and never had an issue with it. But the factory ones, I don't know if it was just the heat from the cylinder being so tall, or I have no idea, but we had issues on the KTMs actually cracking those as well.
Yeah, there's a whole backstory to going to Rendezvous with some of those machines that I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus on here, but yeah.
I remember Doug went over there, and this was like KTM days, early days. Oh my God, stop it, Dirt Wheels. I remember KTM days. I went over there, and Doug's Eichner's always been like a legend of mine, right? Just like Fredericks, just like all of these guys. So I remember going over there, and at qualifying, I seen him out, but he wasn't out, right? Out riding. So I walked down to the Polaris tent, and, you know, I'm starstruck, but I didn't want him to know. So I walk up to him and said, "Hey, where the hell you been? What are you doing?" And I think I'm 20, 19 maybe, somewhere in there. And he goes, "Oh," he said, "you didn't hear?" I said, "No." He said, "Come here." They ended up breaking the rod right at the top of the wrist pin, right where it connects to the piston.
Yep.
That thing went down through the front of the engine, took all the shit out in the front of the engine. It pulled it back, loaded it, and then cocked it and drove the starter and blew the transmission out of the back. And he goes, "What do you think of that?" I was like, "Holy shit, that's a good one." He goes, "Yeah." They was putting the motor in it. I said, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "Nah, put another motor in it." I'm like, cool. But I'll never forget that. He took me into the truck, Polaris Europe or whatever it was, and I seen that, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that they just yeah. The I got a call from one of the guys that worked at Polaris.
Yeah.
We got back from PDV, and he asked me some questions. I answered his questions. Then he gave me some numbers. I got some information from the guys in France, called him back and told him what I had found. And he goes, "Yep, just as we suspected. We weren't supposed to get the engines that we got."
Yeah. And that was such a, if you've never been over there, it's hard to explain. It's such a grueling, hard race. And here, I want to show you something. See that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. And I still got, I think that's my champagne bottle right there.
There you go.
Yep, that's one of my tops. Like a lot of my top ones are up there on that shelf. But yeah, that's a hard fought 32 seconds, 12 hours after the race. 32 seconds what we lost by.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Doug realistically could have had 9 victories over there.
And that was, how many was on the Banshee?
All of them. He won 7 times on a Banshee.
Poor guy.
And
Poor guy.
Spader got hurt one time and
Yeah.
rode almost the whole race. And another time, this happened twice. The little plastic gear on the water pump broke. Happened twice.
Why wouldn't you make one out of billet?
I don't know.
Why not? We're running 630 chains and gold everything and badass parts. Let's just run a little plastic, little water pump gear.
Right.
I got nothing, man. I got nothing for you. But those bikes were sick. ATV World bikes.
Yep.
Was that what they were?
Yep.
The 24 karat gold Banshee was the one the black with the gold. That one I was like, oh. Yep,
And
that was my favorite.
They were always sold before the race.
Yep, and them bikes over there bring big money when they're done.
Well, they still duplicate them today. Last year they had a replica racing, and that we were working with the guy selling him parts before the race.
Yeah. Now, didn't Dragon bought Legger, correct?
Yes.
In Europe.
Yes.
Okay, so that makes sense because everything over there was Legger, like wild stuff, but it didn't look like Mark's work. Make sense?
Dragon didn't get it until hard to put the years together, but during the heyday when it was all Legger stuff coming from Legger.
Yeah,
Dragon didn't take it from the States until maybe 15, 16.
Okay, because I know when I was 8 and 9 and had a hiatus there, and then I went over 13 and 14, I think, in that range. And as I went over those years, that's when a lot of the T-pin 500 length 250R geometries, Banshees were out. Like they had some YFZ custom chassis then that were like I've never seen this stuff, but it was different. Like the knuckles looked different. The A-arms obviously were different. But it just didn't look the same. It might have been, but to me, it didn't look like the stuff I'm used to seeing in U.S. And maybe it's because they had a different. Legger had a crazy ground clearance. Yep. So yeah, it just looked different.
The Europeans do a lot of different things than us.
Yeah, they have long pants and hairy legs on their women. That's one thing.
That's not it. The first year I went to Rendezvous, I went with Yamaha of Italy.
Okay.
And I'm in the little bitty motorhome. I mean, they got the whole team in a mini motorhome.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Oh boy.
And I didn't know what espresso was.
It's good stuff, ain't it?
Oh man, I had like 11 those little bitty cups.
Because you've been up for 32 hours because it's a 9-hour flight the next day.
I had no idea what I was drinking. I said, "Oh, this is good," and they just kept giving them to me. I was up all night.
You're somebody I'd like to go to the bar with then. But
I don't drink alcohol, but I drink that freaking coffee like it's.
But I remember being over there, and it was obviously when you ordered shrimp, it was the whole shrimp. At least at that time when I went. When you got certain things, it was not what you would think here, U.S. Right?
Right.
So I remember all they told me is ask for no oomph or oomph on your pizza, and I'm like, why? So like, trust me. So we obviously the only thing I ate over there, I ate some pizza. I had some shrimp, which was when the eyes are looking at you. I had a hard time with that. Salad. So it was like pizza, salad, and then there was a McDonald's about 20 minutes away. And that was about all we ate. And I remember we went to the pizza place and I forgot to ask them. They would crack an egg and put it right in the center when they pulled it out of the oven. And that's how they'd serve it. So however hot the pizza was however cooked the egg would get. And I never knew this. And at first I was like mind blown, right? And as I got to eating it, the egg cooked a little bit more, but it was good. I wouldn't say I'd do it with my Papa John's pizza that I would get here, but it was different.
How about the raw hamburger with the egg on it?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, that shit's best chocolate you'll ever eat, but the weirdest shit you'll ever eat. Like, their chocolates are good, their coffees are good, their breads were absolutely out of this, hard as a rock. It was like eating this desk, but delicious flavor. Their pastries were amazing. I mean, going to the gas station, you go in the gas station, right? You look in the coolers, and it'd just be like, your Red Bulls and your Cocas and all your other shit you would want. And then you would go to the counter, and there would be like a bakery that they bring all their fresh pastries at a gas station in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So, I mean, it was a cool experience. It was an awesome, something to see. I would love to go back. One of the promoters, actually the guy that announces, asked me if I was coming back this year. And I said, right now, I don't have any plans, but I'd love to have the chance to come back and see all those guys. Because when I left, my translator, Terry Verstappen, he was actually on the board of PDV. So I got to meet the promoters, the people that were in charge of it, the tech people. So I was just starting to get in with it. And then it just went, COVID hit, it went kind of to shit, right? And so now I'd love to have a chance to go back, but I don't know with the age and everything if I would be able to compete. I'm sure I could, but that 2-hour thing out there on a 3-minute and 30-second lap, which is what they stretched it to now, maybe. But you'd
have no problem, because back when I was going, the guys were in their 40s and they would get off the couch and go race the race and haul ass.
Yeah. Windrow, we was the one year, so we built, or I didn't build, but Mark Baldwin built us a KTM 565 or something. It was a big bastard, right? Did a whole custom gear set for it, for the bottom end to change the ratio. We ran a 1634 on it, I think. And I'll never forget, I got the whole shot that session, come around, did the 2 tabletops, the S-turn, and then went through the transponder, and it was like, a mile or a mile and a half straight. Right?
Straight away.
And I remember tucking like this, literally took this hand off the bar and put it back and just laying against the tank like, I'm going to stretch these bastards, right? And I'm like, oh. And I hear somebody coming. He catches me, pulls out, goes up by me, and Windrow looks at me and goes, and drives around me. I'm like I'm blown away. But, granted, he blew up, 4 laps later. But when he drove around me, I was like, holy shit. Because, I looked down. I don't have no Speedo, but I looked down and my tires are that damn wide. I'm like, oh, my God. But later, they was clocking it. And I forget who told me this. They clocked that thing on that front stretch in perfect conditions. They said it was 110 mile an hour is what that bike was running. And I got passed.
And you got passed.
And I got passed. Do you believe that shit? I mean, I was floored with it. But, hindsight, the bike stayed together until we blew the transmission apart. So that year it was me, Josh Kirkland, and Paul Holmes. And we got this whole shot every session, which has never happened before at that time. We got the whole shot every session and was leading it to 10 and a half hours and shit the transmission. We'd have been the youngest team in history of PDV to win it. It was 18, I think it was 18, 19, and 20. And I was middle because Kirkland, I think, was a year older than I was.
Wow.
Yep. It was good stuff, man.
It's great.
Oh yeah.
You gotta to live that and to go do those things.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about the life that we've had,
Yeah, and then go to Vegas to Reno and be able to be a part of that. To then, to do that, and I've had a Lone Star sponsorship for years with Dan Fisher and created an amazing relationship, and it's where I'm going to retire with components. But the guy then invited me to come back out to race in a UTV. So I got to experience the Parker. I got to experience UTV Worlds or UTV. Remember when they did that?
Yep.
I got to experience that. I got to I got to sign up for the UTV World or UTV whatever, but I never got to race because the bike broke or whatever, right? So I just, whatever, long story. So I got to experience that. I chased in Baja one year. I never got to race it yet, maybe, but I got to experience Baja. I've been a lot of places. I raced a works race in Washington State, right out of Seattle. So
Right.
that one's not there anymore. So I've traveled. I've put a lot of miles on this ass to do this stuff, and I've had a hell of a time doing it, as well as the GNCC, as well as the regionals, as well as doing, the Heartland Challenge and the Max's 12 Hours of America. I've done it. I've done, I raced a GNCC in Texas. I've raced in Arkansas. I've run, I've been to Rhode Island for, the KTM press releases. I did the Can-Am press releases in Tennessee. I've had a hell of a time doing this, and that's why I'm not sure if I could step away.
Well, you don't ever have to, really.
I don't want to, put it that way. I don't want to, but I don't know where my life is going to take me.
Let me ask you this, because not everybody wants to ask the question. You're married. Your wife is obviously supportive of what you do.
Oh, 100%.
How does she feel about, where you're at in your career?
We met with me racing, right? So she was just out of high school, was getting into college, I think, or just in college or something. And my mom, I was really serious about her. Like within the first, say, couple months, I knew that was the woman I wanted to marry. And I remember having the talk with my mother and telling her. So she was at the house. I'm in the garage working, right? So she's in the house with my mom, and my mom says, and I'll never forget this. There's a lot of things I'll say I'll never forget, but my mom told her, she goes, this is going to be your life, right? She goes, what do you mean? She goes, he's going to be spending a lot of time away, a lot of time in the garage, a lot of time where you guys won't be together. And are you going to be okay with this? Because my mom knew that I was serious, but I never proposed or anything like that yet. And she said yes. And, we've had our rough patches and things, but she looks at me and she says, how many more years do you want to do this? And it's not like she's asking me, to keep racing. She's asking because it's a hustle, man. I'm hustling all the time because like now a lot of my contracts are year to year, even though that I've created a relationship with, just for a Lone Star, for example, I've created a relationship and all they do, they're like, you racing? Yep. No problem. They send it, right? They send a contract, dates change, nothing's different. And it's coming to the point to where it's like, it's that, right? And I enjoy what I do, but it's also like, man, maybe I should do the show thing for Parts Unlimited or Moose. And I'm kind of dabbling with it. And I'm like, well, do I want to do this? So she's been really supportive. It's just, she doesn't want to see me put so much into this that it's for nothing. And I know I've had a conversation with a lot of people, so people race over the years, right? And they want to accomplish something. So yourself, you want to win a championship. You want to win races. You want to win whatever, right? Best cake decorator or whatever the hell you want to win. My goal is when I say I am done, right, and I hang my boots up or whatever that day comes, my biggest fear is being forgotten. And I've told some people this, but it's kind of one of the things now as I get older. I have 22 years or something, 20 years in this sport that I have built and struggled and dug my whole life to do something. I've never won a championship. I've won one Pro-Am, but I've never won an XC1 ever. So I would never, at this point, I don't think I ever have a chance to. There's a chance, but it's glim. But for me to put over, so say 2/3 of my life into racing and to take 1 year away and be forgotten, that's my biggest fear with this, is if I step away, it's just so year to year, it'll be like, oh, well, let's talk about him. That's what I'm scared of.
I don't think that you'll be forgotten. The community isn't like that.
I hope not, man, because it's the next step is always so. The first step was getting into racing, and you're building it, right, and you're making these relations, you're making these connections, you're doing these podcasts just like we're doing, and then it's like you start this, and then it starts this, right, and then it starts as it goes down. That's where I'm worried if I lose that impact, if I lose that touch, if I lose that with people that. It's like I said, it's so year to year. I just don't know where it'll be 5 or 10 years from now with my name.
There's no way to know, but I don't believe that your legacy will ever drop away like that. Just from what I know of you, I mean, granted, the first time we really talked was a couple of years ago on the phone. Yeah. And then Christmas Day, we got to tape a little bit of this or that back and forth, and now we're here. And I've been a fan from a distance for a long time. So, granted, I've probably been in the industry 20 years longer than you, and I'm a fan of a guy that's younger than me. Well, I'm fans of guys that are long since retired, that are my age. And I just don't think that we can forget you or any of those other guys. So this is why the podcast is here.
Yeah. And it makes me feel really good to hear that, because like I didn't know, I'm like, obviously we're talking a little serious now, but I started figuring out like there's a lot of connection with people coming into it. So I started really pushing into that and growing with people. I mean, I've been invested in kids' program for now 8 years and winning championships and losing races and losing championships and feeling that emotion. It's so connected that when they hurt, you hurt. It's like being a parent now. And being that emotionally involved and making sure they're okay, giving them the talks in their helmet, making sure they're fine, putting notes on their bar pad, to making changes, to showing up at their house, to giving the lessons, and it's something that I've really tried to push in. And I've got my own thing going right with my racing, but it's also, I want to do it over here too and help someone else. Because I'm also nervous when I step out, that hole will then be just closed.
Right.
Because I would love to say, hey, I'm taking you, I want to put you in these shoes. Here's these contacts, here's these people, this is what you got to do, this is what you got to follow. And I've even thought about doing so I do my classes, correct? I want to do something potentially where it helps you with speaking and networking and how to talk to people. And I'm not the best, but it doesn't take a lot to do it. It's just people just maybe need that little bit of push to get to that point.
I agree with that. The young lady that you work with, Chloe, is an amazing speaker already at her young age.
She's a pain in the ass is what she is.
She said you'd say that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
but yeah, you've done an amazing job with that young lady, because she's professional. She's on point. She knows what to say, when to say it. Bang, bang, bang. I can tell that young lady's going to go far in life because she's super intelligent.
Yeah, I've had parents tell me that like I could tell you've worked with them, and I've had other riders come up and say, you've worked with them, haven't you? Because their style, the way they work, the way they, are speaking or getting better at speaking. And, she's 19, so she's young. And at that time, I mean, I had gauges in my ears. I had a puka shell necklace and highlighted hair. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was trying and I wasn't afraid.
Right.
So, and she's at that point. Not every word she says is like, yeah, that was it. It's more, some of them are like, little missed the target, but we're still in the range. But she's getting really good with it.
I was was impressed with her. And, we did talk about you in that, and that she praised all the things that you'd been teaching her, and the fact that she's been riding with you or around you, or, since she was a little kid. So,
yeah. Hell, since she's been 6.
Yeah. So that's a long time. That's a lot of tutelage right there.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of that.
But,
a lot of.
So when you talk about your legacy, so you're building your own legacy that's going to keep you going and keep your name going for years and years to come. And maybe you're doing it because you want to be remembered. I don't think so. I think you're doing it because you want to give back to the sport that you love so much. And that's basically where I'm coming from as well. Dude,
Yeah, correct. So I took a risk. I invested in making battery boxes, right? I've got some coming. So if people are watching this, I've got some coming. Okay. So give me a minute. I'm doing my best, but I'm investing back in, right? I see there's a hole in it because not everybody is making parts anymore. And it really sucks ass. It sucks, but it's what we're dealt. So I see a void there that needs to be filled. And I mean, I'm investing thousands of dollars into this to be able to help the industry. Now, I'm not doing it for every machine ever made, all this stuff. I'm trying to keep it somewhat feasible with what I'm doing. But yeah, like bumpers, like battery boxes. Like I'm working now with Lone Star with something that is going to really help the youth, right? And it's done, other than we're waiting on some powder coat to come in. So, I mean, I'm pitching ideas to these companies, right? Like Obor, we've got some stuff coming down the pipe with that. I should have it in February. With Dan at Lone Star, I've got some stuff. It should be shipped next week. My stuff should be coming here soon. I've got a website now that you can order stuff. Now, I'm not quite like a Weenan or a Rastrelli. I'm doing my own stuff. I'm investing in my own stuff. So I'm not like a drop ship or like something like that. I am outsourcing stuff that I think that needs to be there and selling it. I'm selling my name and my brand. And I remember I was talking with somebody, and I can't remember who it was, but they said that Adam McGill is not a racer. He is a brand.
Yep.
And when I thought about that, I'm like, holy shit. Like, you're right. Like, I have my logo, my double N's with my 521. And no matter if you're in the racing industry, you know who that is. If you're not, you've seen it. And that's where I'm trying to get is I don't want to be Adam McGill, the racer. I want to be Adam McGill as this. So no matter where you go, what you see, as soon as you see that, you know it's me. It's like DC and Ken Block. It's like, Travis Pastrana, right? I know that I'll never have that opportunity to be like those guys because of such a limited market that we have with the ATV side versus a motorcycle side or an auto sport. But I definitely can make impacts where it would change things. And being around it 20 years and learning how to speak, learning how to meet people. When I started this, I didn't email. I faxed stuff.
Right.
I faxed resumes. Right. So I would call you, you'd be working at Duncan, and I'd want a sponsorship. I'd be on the phone talking to you. You'd be like, yeah, well, send us a contract or an email or whatever of your resume. And I'd be like, hang on, what's your fax? And at that time, I worked at RG Honda, which is where we bought the Polaris and my first 450. So I would then sneak away, go to the bathroom, go into the office and send you a fax, be talking to you on the phone, make sure you got in your hand, and would create a relationship with you around that.
Right.
So it was a different time now. I don't like, it was just different. It was really different. What's up, Casey?
I think that one of the problems with it, we've lost touch with the phone conversation because of text messaging and emailing. There's not as much of the relationship built through the conversation.
there isn't. And it bothers me a little bit. Guys, and don't take any offense, guys like you that own a business, most men are older in this industry, right? And then they hand it down to their sons or whatever, however it goes. They don't want to Snapchat. They don't want to text. I mean, if you get to that point, then yes, you can text. But most of them don't give a shit about that. They either want to email or they want to talk. I email. I'm a little bad about it now, but obviously being in it 20 years, there's some times that I'll talk and I'll carry on an hour conversation. It literally has to do with not a damn thing other than just bullshitting. Hey, Swift. So for me, there's times where I just call just to be like, just to give them shit. Like, hey, what are you doing, you simple SOB? Good talking to you. They're like, you need anything? I'm like, hell no, I don't need nothing. Just called to give you shit. Did you get your green card or whatever lately? Like, just messing with them. And that's it. And that's how you create that relationship, because it's not always just a business talk every time they call. So it's It's not pleasurable. It's enjoyable to deal with somebody like that when it's not always, hey, I need.
So we need people that are going to educate the youth in the communications department. I've done a couple shows where how to treat your sponsors. Mm-hmm. And some people get it, some people don't. No offense to the young people that are listening. The young people don't get it.
No, I love the people that don't get it, because I still get the money, right? So I still get it. Even though you don't get it, you tell me you got it, but you don't. I can look you right in the eyes. You're like, oh, yeah, I get it. They walk out. It just goes out the window and they go back to doing what they're doing. But there is a small few that understand it, right? And Chloe is one of them. She don't get it, but she is getting it, right? And if I don't want to talk a whole lot about this, because this is kind of, my stuff. And if you want to, then we can, whatever. But yes, it has a lot to do with creating a relationship, creating that connection with that person at that business. Because imagine if people called you every day and just wanted shit. Every day, just called you and said, hey, I want that.
Did.
Hey, I want that.
Dude, I get that all the time. Everybody wants a discount. Everybody wants something,
Yep.
So just because you race doesn't mean you deserve something.
You got it. So there's been, like I said, I've considered it. I would love to maybe do it. I just started a YouTube. I wouldn't say I just started, but I just started my own YouTube now. I did my first vlog. Essentially, I'm getting ready. I want to, if that catches on, I want to then branch off to different things, and then maybe start a premium that then I can talk about some more, how to be better, how to do this, how to do that, and get that to where I'm more accessible to you that's in California 3 hours behind, that can't just drive to me and see me. So right. I'm starting these steps of these things, and granted, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I tried, and that's kind of where I'm at with my life. If it works, I hit it. If I don't, well, it's not the end, but it sucks.
Well, make sure that when you're promoting these things, that you send us flyers or send us information so that we can promote you. Because
for sure,
one of the things that we want to do. What's your YouTube channel?
That it's so new. I would have to go back and look. So I'm working with a media guy now that's a little more computer savvy than me. I'm more of the people guy, but I'm 99% sure it's an Adam McGill something. I'm pretty sure it's an Adam McGill, like a 521 channel or something. Okay. But I've got a link on my Instagram that you can click on it. And it'll take you right to the page. I've been getting subscribers all day. But I would have to essentially send that to you. I'm so sorry that I don't know, because
no, that's totally. They were asking in the chat, and I was reading it. That's why I said that. So one of the things that I like to do for everybody that comes on ATV-TALK or anybody in the industry, if you have something going on, send it to us so that we can pass it on.
Yeah,
and share it with all of the people. Maybe there's followers of mine that aren't yours, and followers of yours that aren't mine, and we get them all connected, and that's how our industry is going to grow and be better.
Yeah, I really hope it does, man. I do hope it comes back. I think it will. I'm not sure if I'll see it, but I think it will.
So So if ATVs are so dying out, why am I so busy?
Because people love two strokes. Duh.
I don't just do two strokes. I have more four strokes going on right now than I do two strokes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's true, but I got a lot of two strokes going too. So
No, I don't think it's dead by no means. I think people are caught up with the whole UTV thing 100%. I had not a weird conversation, but a conversation with a gentleman out at the park show or the moose show or whatever. And what he explained to me made sense. And I don't know if I really want to say it because I don't want to sound like a total idiot, but I think that it's going to get to a point to where people can't do the side-by-side anymore, right? What's the new Maverick R is $50,000, $50,000. This roof over my head, that's all I owe on it. So it's like, it's a toy. It's a toy. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you can finance e-bikes now. So I don't understand. I love side-by-sides. I enjoy the shit out of them. I would recommend putting O-board tires, weld wheels, and Lone Star components all over the things. But I'm still an ATV guy. And eventually there's going to be a turn, or not a turn, but maybe a progression back. So I talk with Dan Fisher a lot at Lone Star. They have been doing, he told me the other day they did a run of 20 Cannondale seat latches. Cannondales. Who even knows what a Cannondale is? I do. But they did 20 of them. So it's like people are starting to pull their stuff out of the barns again and go riding. And I think COVID had a little bit to do with that. I think people are starting to realize that the side-by-sides are, they're fun, but they are expensive to fix. And maybe that's some of it. I don't know because I love riding my UTV. I love it, but I'm still a four-wheeler guy at heart.
I'm not a very good UTV driver because every time I get behind the wheel, something happens and it ends up upside down.
Well,
so
my rides are 13 miles, about 8 hours, and I think the max speed is 35 and it's on the blacktop. So we're more about miles per miles, not a miles per gallon kind of group, if you know what I mean.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're a miles per miles crew.
That's great because I have to go somewhere where they keep the speed down and keep it in a controlled environment, because if you turn me loose out in the desert, I'll find a way to crash.
Yeah. My wife got on to me before because she's like, you're not even going fast enough to make my hair blow in the wind. I was like, I don't want to. I go fast all the time. I want to just chill. I want to listen to good music. I want to have a great adult beverage. That's it. That's all I want to do. And when the vibe hits, when that hits, you don't disrupt it. It's like a deer. You don't disturb the deer when it gets close. You leave it alone. And that's what we do. We'll find an area, and if it's good, I'll play that stereo until the freaking batteries quit, which isn't much anymore because I went way overboard with it. But yeah, so I've got a $30,000 generator at this point with a stereo attached to it.
You got beat by some old man named Dave on pit bikes back in the day?
Dave. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. That's that kid. No. His dad was actually really good. He didn't beat me. I won a championship still. His dad only come out once or twice, and I started really kicking his butt. At that time, so pit bikes were big, right? And I thought that I could just buy myself better. Right? I was making good money with the factories. I couldn't really ride a dirt bike, but hell, I'll buy a pit bike. And I had a full BBR perimeter chassis, 195 stroker motor, ported big, absolutely just ignorant pit bike. Still couldn't ride it, but I ended up winning the championship. Got my ass kicked more than once. Me and Walker was doing this, so Walker and I would race pit bikes together. It was a whole thing, man. I bought a belt, a WWE belt, and put tape over it and was like pit bike champions and whoever beat who at that race, because it was me, Walker, Corey Buttrick, and Ryan Early. We was like the 4 guys that did that. And whoever beat who that day would get the belt, and you'd walk around all day. The 4-wheel race didn't matter, nothing. The pit bike race was the biggest thing. We had this big-ass belt that you'd wear. And, yeah, so Van Kuren, his dad, was actually involved in that. He was starting to get in with that, but the pit bike thing didn't last real long because I think we was getting too expensive with it. And then it was just like people were buying this and borrowing this from people, and I was like, I'm done.
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh,
Brother.
yeah. There was all kinds of things like the time. So I would just I would go to Walker's house at that time, and we would hang out, right? So we was out riding pit bikes, and he was young then. And I wouldn't say he looked up to me, but I remember I talked to him, and he had a BB gun, and I forget what we was shooting, just being jackasses. And he goes, hey, if I shoot the back glass of my dad's truck, you think it'll break? I'm like, oh, hell no. It's shattered. He looked at me and he goes, why'd you make me do that? I'm like, I didn't think you'd do it. He goes, you told me it'd be fine. I'm like, what? Nobody listens to me. Yeah. Oh, God, that was a bad one. That was bad.
Oh.
His dad kicked his ass and kicked my ass for that. That was not good.
Oh man, that's freaking awesome, bro.
Oh, it was fun from that to, the man trips with him that we used to do at Christmas time. That it was me and him and Danny, and there was 2 other guys that went. And I forget their names. Rode dirt bikes. It was a lot of fun. I tore up a lot of shit. Just didn't know. He had so CRA, which is a series that's up by him that Curtis Crump runs, and you probably remember Curtis Crump, yes. Right? So Curtis runs this series. Well, Walker had a race at the property that his parents owned, right? Well, we'd be up there riding the track and shit and screwing around, and I went up there one day, and the next day it rained, and he goes, I want to ride. I'm like, I don't want to ride. He goes, but I want to ride. I'm like, I don't want to. He goes, Brandon Summers is riding. I'm like, you son of a bitch. So we suited up and rode right out his garage in the pouring down rain and did 1 or 2 laps. He looked at me and he goes, this sucks. I was like, you little shit. You got me out here. You're riding the whole damn time. And then we just ended up screwing around and playing. But yeah, that was one of them. At the times it was like, well, this guy's riding. Why ain't you riding? And I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever. Let's go do it. And we did. Yeah, I was easily influenced back then with stuff, but I knew not to shoot the back glass out of a pickup truck with a BB gun.
Oh, I can't wait to ask Walker about that one.
Dude, he'll never. That too. First time I ever met the kid, I get to his house. He's super excited to go ride. He's like, oh, my God, let's go ride. And I'm like, okay. And he was on a 400 then. Oh, God, he might have been, I forget our age yet, right? I think he just turned 30 last year. So I'm 30. There's a 6-year difference. So whatever it was at that point, I remember he got on the 4-wheeler, and I'm like, okay, I'll follow you, wherever. He takes off. He goes by the pig pen barn that he had his pig in and did not get 10 feet into the woods and creams a stump, knocked himself out. Done. Absolutely done. And I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? And we always joked about that, and just it was a lot of fun them days. It was no responsibility, man. I mean, I was 19 years old, had a factory ride. Everything was great. All the manufacturers were in it. It was awesome. And, I wish I'd have known what I did now. I would have bought a blue roof house in Florida, but I didn't. I bought a Razor.
Oh, shit. Adam, I want to thank you so much, brother. This has been super enjoyable. I hope that we can get you on again, and because I'm sure you got more and more stories to tell. And you may not believe this, but you are a legend in the sport, and your legendary status is growing all the time. So don't stop being you. Keep it going, please. For the fans like myself, we enjoy watching what you're doing, and you know what? We're looking for you on the starting line every time there's a race.
I really appreciate it. I'm always glad to be here. Like I said, I'm not sure how much longer this is going to be. I'm hoping it's till I'm 50, right? I still love to do it. I still like the sport. I still enjoy everything about it, right? But I don't know when that'll be. Everybody's always told me you'll know, right? So at that point, when I know, I'll know. And it's not going to be hey, I'm done. It'll be, I promise you, it'll be a full year of Gator takeover. Every race it'll be exciting as I can make it for everybody.
Like you do now.
Yeah. I don't know if I make it exciting. I definitely make race production pull their hair out.
That's good. So that just locked it right in there. You can't quit now. Forever.
I know.
You're in.
I know. And there's other conversations we could have with that, but yeah, I definitely have enjoyed this, and I would like to leave everybody with one of my favorite sayings. If you do what you've always done, you get what you've always got. So let that sink in, because if you're okay where you're at, just keep doing what you're doing. If not, do it just a little bit more than you was used to doing, and it'll change.
Right on, brother. Couldn't have said it better. Adam McGill, everybody. The legendary Adam McGill. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it so much.
I appreciate it. We'll definitely have to do this again. Like I said, sorry for the long hiatus, but I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to get back to my Florida family and get my butt back in the sand and riding again.
The team here at ATV-TALK would love your feedback. Please email it.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share us with your family and friends. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find us on social media as ATV-TALK Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter.